Hi, Lincoln. Welcome to For the Love of Good Fitness podcast.
Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Ansi.
I
Part of an
know.
illustrious lineup I've seen.
We will see what happens. It's just literally for the love of group fitness and all the
Right.
stuff that we've done for the love of it, you know. So for the listeners who don't know you, I know you. But for the listeners that don't know you, do you want to share a little bit about your story? How did you end up doing what you do today?
Yep, no problem. So my name is Lincoln. I have been in the fitness industry for over 30 years now, and started off teaching aerobics just to get my way through university, and actually hated it for about 2 years. I hated going to classes. I didn't really know what I was doing. It was in the Jane Fonda era of jumping jacks, spotty dogs, knee lifts, etc. And then someone spoke to me about going to an event, and I think it was the Assets Convention. And I turned up,
Yeah.
saw all of these people up on stage, and I thought, oh my days, it was almost a huge light bulb moment. And I thought, actually, I can do this. So I started taking that information, choreography back to Cheltenham, which is where I was teaching, and grew in love with it. And from there, cardio funk started coming out in the early 90s, and
Yeah.
I sort of hung my hat on that, got known for teaching dance fitness, started helping out at FitPro conventions, then ended up working with FitPro on their tour, and that kind of launched my presenting career. So lucky enough to present in over 40 countries now, which is nuts thinking about it even now. And now I help fitness professionals grow their own businesses, and especially develop their own unique programs and courses so they can enhance the income that they can get from the industry. And I've also launched a freelancing agency, so helping fit pros create their own content so they can keep their blogs and social media and websites and various channels updated, because we know that that's part of marketing these days, and a lot of people just haven't got time to do that. So I help fit pros facilitate that. So that's me in a nutshell.
Are you lecturing as well still?
Am I what? Sorry?
Lecturing as well still.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yes, so I lecture in a college. I lecture in sports science. I also help people. That's quite funny that I've forgotten about that. So I also help people to transition into personal training. So I'm also an awarding a sort of a centre to help people become personal trainers and fitness instructors. So lots of hats, spinning lots of plates. But to be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Cool. Now, if I can get you to rewind, you said you started teaching classes and hated it for 2 years.
Yeah.
What made you start in the first place? Were you going to classes before?
No, not at all. So left London, went to Cheltenham, which is where I was doing my degree. In those days of doing a degree, you had to be means tested to see if you were going to get your degree fully paid for, or whether your parents had to contribute. And somehow it was decided that my parents needed to contribute to my degree, even though their work situation really didn't necessitate that. But anyway, that's by the by. On the month that I actually left home, my dad had a triple heart bypass. So he was out of work, which meant that they couldn't really afford to support me during my degree. So I was there thinking, well, I'm going to have to get some work, which for a 20-odd-year-old that looking to embark on my uni experience didn't go down too well. And I was literally filling out a form for Sainsbury's, and one of the girls on the PE course was working at a local gym, and she said, well, there's a position going if you fancy working in a gym. The only problem is that you're going to have to teach aerobics. And no word of a lie, my thought process was, well, I'm black, I can dance, can't be that hard. So don't know what my colour's got anything to do with it, but anyway, so rocked up rocked up to the interview, and interview was going all right because I'd been training anyway, so I knew,
Mm.
the bodybuilding type way of training, so I knew my way around the gym. But then the question came up as, well, you will be required to teach classes. How do you feel about doing that? And again, I just said, well, I'm used to dancing. I've got a reasonable ear for music. And then I must admit, I lied. I said, yeah, I've been going to classes forever. It shouldn't be a problem, blah, blah, blah. And they gave me the job. Okay. And that's literally how I got into it. And then I went to, in those days, you didn't have to be, it wasn't as regulated as it is now. So the training that I had was a 1 week training in Oxford at this company's other gym, where in 1 week I went through health assessments, fitness tests, skin fold caliper assessments, how to teach aerobics in terms of high-low, well, it wasn't high-low, high aerobics, stretching, and body conditioning. So those are the 3 classes I learned to teach all in a week. So I did all of that in a week, and then it's like, right, you're ready. Your first shift's on Monday, and that's literally how I got into the industry. And in those days, there were 30-minute sessions. The gym didn't have a specific studio, so anytime there was a class, they had mobile sort of dumbbell racks, so you had to wheel the racks to the other side of the gym to then teach your classes with your tape decks, and it wasn't pre-mixed music. And it was literally my first actual class. I used to love the Blues Brothers, so I just got all the fast songs from the Blues Brothers, and that was it. And it was knee lifts for 4 minutes, then jumping jacks for 4 minutes, and this, that, and the other. And that's literally how I started. And then someone saw me in this club, and there was a local sports centre, Cheltenham Recreation Centre, and they said, oh, do you fancy doing a class there? And again, I needed money, so I said, yeah, I'll do that. But I went from a tiny studio in the comfort with 10 people to this massive sports hall where I was taking over another instructor who was hugely popular. And at first the numbers went from 60 down to 6, so I'd lost all of those people. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Down to 6. And so again, that's probably one of the reasons why I hated going, because I remember going, it used to be Monday night, 7 till 8. And I'm walking to this place thinking, because I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was, knee lifts, spotty dogs, jumping jacks, run forward, clap, run backwards, clap, maybe runs forward with 1 knee and then 3 knees, and then run back. And then that was it. And they obviously didn't like that. But after going to the asset convention, then I knew some more combinations, some more movements, some more motivation techniques, some more group management techniques, and I, gradually built the numbers back up. And then, I think in its heyday, I was getting over 150 people for an aerobic class. So that really kind of set me off and gave me the confidence to sort of pursue this career.
Why did you mention asset twice? That was way back when in the UK, isn't it? And it's Association of Exercise Teachers, is that right? Because I used to be a member as well.
I think so, yeah. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I'm not even sure I was a member at the time. It was just another instructor in the area. I think he was a member, and I think he was a presenter, and he mentioned it to me. And I just thought, okay, I'll just tag along. I think it was up in Loughborough was the event.
Possibly. But why did you stick with it, though? If you said, like, for 2 years you hated it.
I needed to.
Why did you stick with it? You could have,
I had to. It's one of those situations where...
Financially?
Yeah, financially I had to. So it was something... I think there was a bit of frustration because I thought, well, actually, I could be good at this, But at the time, there's always options. But for me, I suppose it was the easiest options. It worked around my studies, and actually from that, in the gym, there was a lady that got free membership. She was a massage therapist at a local acupuncture clinic, and she had free membership. And in exchange, she gave all the instructors free massages. And geezer from
Mm.
London. I like anything for free. So I used to make up injuries just to go and see her to get sort of these massages. And got talking. She invited me to one of her massage courses, these introductory massage courses. She then said, actually, you're not too bad at this. I'm actually relocating to Singapore. And again, talk about unregulated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you fancy taking over my practice? So from
Mm.
teaching classes, I ended up working in this acupuncture clinic as a massage therapist, then getting qualified. And so
Mm.
my business, as it were, started to grow organically. So the aerobics part then became just a small part of what I did. But as always,
Mm.
the ex-sportsman in me, the competitive edge, you still are always wanting to be better than I was. And I think that was
Mm.
another motivating factor to keep me in the industry.
Mm. I think when I was kind of like aware of you in the industry, your name for me was synonymous with Ciroc at the time.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
Hmm.
that was when I kind of knew you. So it's really funny actually, because I have a member of my yoga studio who's now met a man and moved slightly further away, but she joins us on Zoom pretty much every day still.
Yeah,
And they do Ciroc.
excellent.
They do Ciroc. And so, for the listeners who've never heard about Ciroc, what is it and how did you end up, you know,
Involved.
delivering Ciroc?
So again, things happen for a reason. So Sirocco is, think of a modern jive, modern partner dance.
Mm.
And uh, there used to be a magazine, not sure if it's still around, called Health and Fitness. And I was reading this
Yeah.
magazine. It used to annoy me because, again, people used to know, oh yeah, Lincoln, he can dance, he's all right, blah, blah, blah. I'd get invited to sort of posh parties in Cheltenham. And again, people say, oh, you can dance, just jive with me. And I thought, I can't jive. I can do the Running Man and the Roger Rabbit and some hip hop moves, but I can't partner dance. So I remember reading this
Right.
magazine, and there was this article about Ciroc and how it was a partner dance and it was easy to learn. And I thought, yep, I fancy a little bit of that. I want to learn it myself. When I phoned them
Mm.
up and they said, oh yeah, well the nearest venue is Winchester, and I thought, oh, that's
Okay.
miles away. And then again, light bulb moment. I said, well, are you looking for new instructors or new venues? And they said, yeah. Um, it's a week's training. Come down to London and see what you think. So I came down, and I think the first thing they got you to do was to have a look at a venue and see it in action. So I went to some club, some nightclub in London. I think it was Fulham somewhere,
Mm.
and it was one of those things that just immediately hit me. And what hit me was, you had literally, you talk about inclusivity, you had all sorts of people there. You had people that
Mm.
didn't fit the fitness molds. You had all sorts, but they were all sharing a common love for this partner dance.
Mm.
And I just thought, that is what I want to be involved in. Because at the time, the aerobics was very, I mean, I know we make a laugh about the whole tripods in gyms, etc., but in the 90s, aerobics was still very much image conscious with the
Mm.
various outfits, etc., etc., and you had to look a certain way. And the dissertation that I did for my degree was about the factors influencing women exercising. And for my gym, a lot of women said they felt they had to get fit enough to join the gym to train, which was crazy.
Yes.
So when I looked at this event in Fulham, and you had all sorts of people just moving, enjoying movement, enjoying dance, I just thought, you know what? Yeah, I want to be involved in this. And again, money was a bit of a driver. Again, it was another string to my bow.
Mm.
And did the week's training, hardest
Mm.
training that I did, again because I had to step out of my
Mm.
comfort zone, learn to teach a specific way because it was a franchise, and launched in
Mm.
Cheltenham. Again, struggled for a couple of years, and I suppose lots of little messages and lessons to be learned. Changed venue, to Pittville pump rooms, and again the numbers went from, I think, from about 25 to over 200 in about 3 months, just because of the venue and the marketing,
Venue.
etc. Yeah, so for me, it was a huge income generator. But again, it was a huge blessing to be able to teach this dance, this product, to a variety of people. In fact, last week, a few of them had a get together, sort of a reunion, because it's still going on in Cheltenham, even though that I've left the area. But in terms of presenting, again, it was my in, because at the time I was the only fitness instructor that was teaching Ciroc. And so when I approached Jan at AOGB, she loved the idea, and I did a demonstration. And then from that demonstration, that was one of my master classes that I applied for. And then I was able to teach that with, Yes Street Dance and whatever else I was teaching at the time. And that helped me to get my in, as it were. So, yeah, I'm very grateful from that. And it's a great skill that I've learned, but also the fact that it's that legacy, isn't it? It's starting something that's still going on, even though I'm actually no longer part of it. So, yeah, highly recommended if people are sort of watching or listening this and think, I want to try something new, then Ciroc is definitely highly recommended.
Why the shift? I always wonder this, because it's a big step anyway from, say, being a participant or not even being a participant to teaching group fitness. And then I think it's another shift to presenting.
Right.
Why did you take that step?
I remember street sort of dance fitness and street dance fitness was becoming popular. And I remember being at Fit.Pro, taking part in sessions as you do, and thinking, I can do that better than the people that were on stage. I've always grown up, people that know me know that hip hop's a passion of mine. Used to go out clubbing way too much. Used to go out dancing way too much. And, the music was part of me, really. And there were some presenters, not all, there's some presenters that were jumping on the street dance bandwagon where I could tell that it wasn't part of them. They were just doing it as another class that they could offer organisers. And so that's really how I started. So I thought, I could offer something different, a little bit of authenticity. And don't get me wrong, when I first started, I was awful, but you learn, you adapt, you watch other presenters, and you see how they behave and how they put their moves together. And then slowly but surely, I grew in confidence. And again, I'm a big fan of earning your stripes and doing the hard yards. And on my social media, I do tell the story of, to get experience, in those days you had the yellow pages, and I got a map, and I circled all the counties around Gloucestershire, and I literally went through phoning gyms and health clubs, offering my services to do masterclass in exchange for just the experience. So I said I wasn't going to get paid or anything, but I just thought I wanted the opportunity to hone my craft, as it were, and get that experience being in front of people and developing my routines. And I did that for a number of years, to be fair, before I even thought about applying to conventions.
So you talk about honing your craft in that sense, like master classes, say you turn up and you have no idea who's going to be in the room. So they're not your regular participants who love the classes anyway and love you anyway. As a presenter, you turn up at anywhere and you deliver your class. So what skills do you feel that someone needs to present, to be a great presenter?
See, don't forget, I was teaching at that stage. My Monday night class had grown to 150 people. So
Mm.
for me, every Monday was almost that was my training ground.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, because it differs from person to person. But for me, I was, again,
Mm.
people that know me in terms of social media know that I've always been a bit body conscious. So, and there was
Mm.
an organizer who shall remain nameless that suggested that, if I was going to have any success as a presenter, I needed to regularly, at the end of my session, build up to the climax of taking my top off. And I'm like, you really don't know me very well. If you,
Really?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh my
After
God.
this podcast, I'll reveal the name. But on here, the organizer
No,
shall remain
no, yeah,
nameless.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so bearing in mind, that was kind of the environment that we were in, and also as well, as a black presenter, I had seen that
Mm.
happening, and I thought,
Yeah.
surely we're worth more than that. And so for
Mm.
me, I wanted to be known for, and this is I suppose a lesson for instructors or presenters or whatever. It's what do you want to be known for? So I wanted to be known as an instructor that could, break down complicated routines and make them pretty easy to pick up. I wanted to be known for the quality of my
Mm.
teaching, but I wanted to be known as someone that it's not about me on stage, it's about us experiencing
Mm.
that hour together. So that was what I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
create in my sessions. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and I worked hard to do that, and you talk about the difference with having a class where you turn up week by week versus
Mm.
going to a convention and you're on
Mm.
stage and you've got some people haven't even heard of you. They're in your
Yeah.
session because they couldn't get their first choice. So they're probably a bit pissed off about that
Mm-hmm.
as well, you know. And so
Mm.
that you've got an hour to make those people like you, or to make those people
Yeah.
appreciate you as a professional, but also the content that you, and I quite like that. I quite like that challenge. I quite liked that opportunity to think, right, okay, yeah, you're standing there with your arms crossed, looking up at me, thinking, who are you? But by the end of this session, you're gonna love what we do and be part of that. So, but that was me. So some people, to be a presenter, they feel they have to look the part and they have to be the part and blah blah blah. But for me, that was definitely my driving force. I always wanted to try to be different, to offer something different. I wanted my personality to create this environment where, we're just in this together, we're just having fun, because it is only fitness at the end of the day. But
Mm-hmm.
also I did wanted to be known as a good instructor, someone that could, break down routines and also create original routines as well.
Mm. Now, we've chatted before about introversion
Mm-hmm.
and being an introvert.
Yep.
So how does that fit into this picture of, not just standing up and teaching your regular classes of 100 plus people, but then
Mm.
also being in the presenting world, which outwardly seems very extroverted? How did you find that?
Hard. I think, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, yeah. However, the stage was actually quite useful because initially it created that barrier. It was quite easy to, be up on stage and then being in your own bubble and do your routines. But then I remember being at, again, watching a lot of presenters, and after their sessions, you'd have people flock up to them, whether it's, wanting more details or having a picture taken, blah, blah, blah. And in the early days, I'd be teaching what I thought would be good sessions and having a really good response. Then afterwards, then people would go. And and
Mm.
again, a bit of reflection. And I was thinking, well, maybe it's because I'm so into my bubble of being up
Mm.
on stage that I'm not actually subconsciously creating an environment where people can feel confident to come up to me and speak and ask questions, etc. So I had to, yeah, it was a conscious decision that even though I was an introvert, I still needed to be open for people to come up to me and speak to me, and because that's an element of being a presenter as well. It's only, as you know, the amount of times that you're actually up on stage at a convention is what, 3 hours, but you can be at a convention for 3 days. So it's how you interact with people, which is a huge part of you developing your brand. We're talking it from a marketing point of view, but also for people to get to know who you are as an individual. It's still something, the whole networking thing I found quite cheesy. I was never a business card giver outer. And I was lucky enough, to a lot of the gigs that I got was having a few orange juices and sodas in the bar late at night, chatting to someone and realizing that actually, you know what, we get on quite well. Hey, I've got an event here, why don't you come? And that, for me, those type of invitations, there was one time I was presenting in Hong Kong, and I was sharing a room with another presenter who was snoring. I'm a really light sleeper, snoring the house down. I was thinking, man, I need to sleep here. So I must admit, I chucked a pillow at him, woke him up. And then we had a laugh about it, ended up chatting for about 4 hours. And that was my first gig in Mexico. So those type of things, those kind of organic type of invitations definitely seem to work for me. And maybe that's the reason why I count myself lucky that the other presenters that I know are still good friends of mine. Because you forge those deep connections rather than it just being a business interaction.
Yeah. You talk about masterclasses and traveling the world and doing masterclasses. So it's not just at conventions, right? Because there was a time where you would just travel to another country and do a masterclass tour or workshop tour. And even in the UK, it was very prolific. Like you mentioned, P.R.I.M.E used to do it, etc. I know we've had the pandemic. But even pre-pandemic, I've been out of things because obviously I've been delivering Les Mills, but has that market, if you like, for want of a better phrase, has that started to decline even pre-pandemic?
What, just traveling around and doing masterclasses?
Yeah, masterclass. I mean, you would see it all the time. People, presenters delivering masterclass tours. They promote it and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't see as much now, ignoring the whole pandemic thing. Even pre-pandemic, I never used to see as much.
I think that declined years ago, if I'm honest. I think that, again, it makes me smile a little bit now that a lot of presenters, their goal was to be up on stage at a fit camp or a Blackpool or a Fit Pro, and that was their end goal. And I think, well, actually, no, that's the starting point. Because in the good old days, I know we're reminiscing, but the idea of being at a masterclass, at a convention, was that someone would see you, think, I like that person, my members or people in my club would love that. And then they would come up to you, do you fancy doing a masterclass? And that's when you could actually charge your masterclass fee. Same thing with Blackpool. The great thing about Blackpool is that you don't know who's in your session. And it used to be, and it was that international environment where, again, my first international gig came from someone coming up to me at the end of the class saying, you know what, I really like that. Do you fancy teaching in Lisbon in Portugal? I thought, let me think about that for about 1 second. Yeah, I'd love to, but that was the environment. And then you could earn, pretty well from having masterclasses in different health clubs to showcase your talent. Now, for whatever reason, that really seems to have, whether it's maybe there was a lot more smaller health club operators, so maybe the larger chains weren't as prolific then. So therefore, the budgets for masterclasses came out of the individual managers or owners' pockets, versus, if you had to do a masterclass in a larger chain, then you had to invoice and you had to be on their payroll with some of them, and then it just became a lot more iffy or whatever. So I think those elements have made it harder for presenters to earn income away from the conventions. But yeah, you're right. You don't see as many presenters touring again because, you know, what are you going to present? You know, it's, I think the hardest thing, because now you've got these big branded programs, is what are you going to present that's going to stand out um, and compete with the larger, you know, class offerings.
I think it's a shame. I mean, like, you know, this is I think pre-Les Mills for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the last tour I did was with Greg Sella, and we did a tour. I think it was like 5 or 6 venues. We organised it ourselves, you know.
Yep.
But there was a masterclass and workshop as well. So it's like a half a day thing. And they're fun to do, you know, to kind of like go around the country and stuff. But you just really don't see it. And now people just do stuff online, don't they?
They do. And also as well, you know, this is a bigger issue. I think that a lot of instructors in those times were willing to invest in their development. There was no internet, there was no, you know, there was no mobile phones. So your only opportunity to learn new ideas and get inspiration were from conventions and tours and master classes. Whereas now it's so accessible. You can go on YouTube, you can go online. And also, I mean, pay is a huge topic, but a lot of instructors may be thinking, well, actually, what's the point of learning that new choreography? How's that going to make a difference to my take-home pay? You know, especially if they are primarily teaching in a health club or a sports center. If you're doing your own community classes, then that may be different in terms of the motivation and incentive to educate yourself. And by educating, I mean actually learning new skills rather than learning an off-the-shelf program as another program to teach. And I think that that's an important element to this as well.
I just think there's nothing that can beat actual face-to-face, though. You know, for me, I think I deliver stuff online as well, and I think it's great. It's more accessible for a lot of people. They don't have to worry about childcare, travel, you know, and all that kind of stuff. But when you meet in person, you know, it's the opportunity to also get to know other instructors in your area, and you know, and make friends, really.
Yeah.
Which you wouldn't on Zoom or, you know, or worse still on webinar where you don't even see the other participants.
No, I mean, you can't. I mean, we've both organised events that are face-to-face versus online. And the face-to-face events there's just an energy to them. You know, when you've got a group of people in an area with a common theme to them, yes, you've got the atmosphere that's in the sessions, but it is the socializing afterwards. It is the networking. It is the building of, you know, friendships that it is difficult. It is, you know, it's possible, but it is very difficult to forge online. And I know a lot of organizations are transitioning online in terms of their training and in terms of their events. And I get it from a cost point of view. But no, you can't beat face to face and live training. Even to the point of.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, even to the point of gyms now where you've got, okay, not mentioning any corporate names, but you have the white screens. You go into a studio to do a whatever class, and then there's an instructor that's, you know, that's not even there. You know, that for me, I get it from a cost effectiveness point of view, but that's not the same. You know, that's not the same. That's like doing a home workout, really. And I think actually devalues the skill set that instructors, group exercise instructors have. You know, we're not just there to instruct exercises. We are there to provide feedback, encouragement, motivation. There's so much more that we offer rather than just being a two-dimensional video on a
Yeah.
white screen. So
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Saying that then, what do you feel? So we've gone from like, we reminisce about, the big events. There were more big events, years ago than there are today. And now with the willingness and readiness to accept training online, what do you feel the gap is? Do you think there is one for instructors in terms of their in group fitness, and training,
I think
ongoing
personally, I
training,
think
whatever?
that the gap with group exercise instructors is identifying how they can help their end user or how they can help class participants rather than, and then because if you identify that, then you can identify how you can help them, how the classes that you can teach and how you're going to do that most effectively. Whereas I think for many years, instructors were just seen as people that made up choreography or instructors that taught routines, instructors that taught sequences. But I think the gap is, well, actually, how does that help? Like, if you actually break it down, how does and me being teaching my classes way back when, how did my class actually help the people coming into it? Was it just to learn, choreography? Was it to get fitter? Was it to lose weight, etc., etc.? Because once you can identify that, then you can fill the gap with, well, how am I going to help my end user achieve that? Then that informs the type of training or CPD or convention choices that you choose to improve those skills. And I think that's, to me, if you're going to compete as an instructor, if you're going to try and elevate your income earning potential, I think that is where the gap is, and time needs to be made with some instructors to identify that. You're not just doing an ETM course or group fitness course now just to learn how to teach routines. It should be how to solve problems, and that's the reason why some personal trainers get it, and they can charge a higher fee for their services because they're looking to solve a problem for their clients. So that's, for me, that's where the gap is, and that's where I think that potentially the need for events can arise.
Yeah, so it's kind of a little bit a shift away from just turning up, do a masterclass as in a workout, sit down. I remember sitting down and writing down the choreography, what I can remember. And then you
Yep.
had cameras and then people would
Yep.
come out of class and film themselves, etc. But I think, like you say, there's so much online these days for
Yep.
choreography ideas, right? That it's more about the other stuff, that maybe it's more to do with their professional development and their
Yep.
personal development skills, because, identifying, how they can help their people better, pricing, self-esteem, money mindset, that kind
Which
of
isn't as
stuff, I
sexy.
think is
It's not
really
as
helpful.
sexy as delivering the latest wing whiz bang wow,
Maybe you
but
should try and sex that up.
yeah, exactly. Don't, because my mind's gone in a different direction. But but it isn't as sexy. Whereas, but you're right. I mean, I was at an event. I remember saying to people, "You're writing down the fact that I'm marching on the spot." I was like, "Let's look at the bigger picture here." Yeah, come on, people. And really, again, it's breaking it down into its core components. The idea really that when people should be, when I was looking at other instructors or presenters, I wasn't actually looking at their breakdown. I was looking at how they interacted with the crowd. I was looking at how they made that person feel special. I was also looking at how they alienated the crowd. So I thought, well, I ain't going to do that, because that's the secret source of improving your class numbers, the routine is the routine. You know, a grapevine's a grapevine, a knee
Yeah.
lift's a knee lift, a squat is a squat. You know, but
Yeah.
it's the hidden, and that, you know, it came into fruition. And if you look at Les Mills, you know, a Les Mills routine is a Les Mills routine, but you'd still have
Yeah.
one instructor that would teach a Les Mills routine to 4 people, and another instructor that would teach exactly the same routine, and they'd have 100 people. Okay, I know that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it all comes down to the qualities that the instructors have to deliver the material.
Yes.
So the material's the material. It really is how you deliver it, how you interact. And again, for me, it's about how you can convey the message of how that routine will help people to achieve what they want to achieve.
Mm. Mm. Cool. What's the, let's just shift gears somewhere else.
Mm.
What is the craziest thing you've ever done for group fitness?
The craziest thing that I have done for group, give me an example, and then I can, because again, my mind's gone in so many different
Give you an
directions.
example. You can go in any direction. One of the craziest things I've ever done for group fitness is to lose weight because I was told to. And I already weighed like 50 kilos at the time. Someone else, craziest thing they ever did was like fly to New Zealand, teach a masterclass, fly back. You know, so anything crazy that you've done that you're willing to share.
I'm willing to share. Yeah, I've done the lose weight thing, definitely. It almost, especially certain events, you thought, oh my God, I'm gonna have to look a certain way, and you know, my body wasn't designed to lose weight easily. So that was one thing. There was one event in Romania where, just in terms of the flights, it was one of those planes, trains, and automobiles type things. So I flew, then I had to take a bus, and then I got the time difference wrong. So I thought I was going to have a couple of hours sleep, and they said, well, actually, no, you're on in 30 minutes. So, you know, I ended up just teaching with quite a lot of caffeine inside of me, and then collapsing for a day and a bit. Luckily, it was a week-long workshop, so that was fine. There's loads of things. Flying, did a convention in Chelyabinsk. Right, okay. Did a convention in Chelyabinsk. Flew to Russia, so that was Moscow. So it was that was a long enough flight. I'm thinking, and again, it's one of these red eye flights as well. So, and all I could think about was bed, because I couldn't sleep on the plane. And I remember getting picked up at the airport, and I said, "Oh, how far is it to the hotel? Because I'm knackered." And the guy was like, "No, you've got to get another flight." I went, "Oh, how long's that going to be?" I was another 4-hour flight, and I was like, "You're killing me now." And then again, fly to this place, and the convention was starting in 2 hours' time. So that was a bit of a one. In St. Petersburg, I was lovely event actually, and they wanted to showcase us as presenters to the local people. So we went to this nightclub, and we were just told, you're gonna be just introduced on stage, just go up there, wave, and then come off. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. Now, bearing in mind I'm an introvert here, okay? So all I could hear was this massive build up, and then literally 3 seconds before I'm on, the guy says, right, so when you go up, you need to just do something for about 2 minutes and then come off. And I mean, what do you mean 2 minutes? What do you mean do something? Well, dance for a bit, get the crowd going. Now, bearing in mind, I only speak English, so I don't, you know, and so that was actually really, 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 really painful, because I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, I can dance a little bit. So I had these nightclubbers. So these people were paying just to listen to DJ Hujima Flip. All of a sudden, they've got these fitness people there up on stage, you know. So these like young, you know, 20 somethings were looking at me thinking, who are you? Why are you here? Get off as quickly as possible. So that was pretty painful. But
God, that's
but
making my palms are sweaty just thinking
yeah,
about that.
there's many things that have happened. Probably when I come off this podcast, I think, oh yeah, I should have said about that. But there's loads of stuff.
What about the
Maybe we'll
opposite
write a
end
book.
of the scale?
Mm.
Yeah, you should do a book. You should do a book. But the opposite end of the scale is, what have you done for the love of group fitness that you are proud of?
I think writing some courses. I wrote the first kids street dance for kids course in association with the Y, so I'm quite proud of that. I think more so now, in as much that helping fit pros develop their businesses and actually look at their
Mm,
what they do, increasing the value of how they perceive themselves. I think that I'm quite pleased about that. And also
mm-hmm.
actually introducing quite a lot of people. So I used to work with Andy Lucas with Fitness Fiesta
Yes.
at
Yes.
his events, but also his hotel events, which are kind of cool. So you
Yes.
used to, take out an event at a hotel and used to do a variety of classes. And from doing that, I've just met a handful of people that, again, had never stepped before, for example, started stepping and
Mm,
then started then going to conventions, then started traveling internationally. And the fact that you've helped in some small way to, introduce them to that discipline that's enabled them to use that to travel and enjoy and meet people with a similar interest. That's, for me, is really what group fitness is about. Um, so yeah, it was, from a selfish point of view, I've been very lucky in terms of traveling and experiencing a lot of events. But in terms of helping facilitate other people enjoy group fitness, I'm
mm.
quite proud of that as well.
Cool. I've lost you on camera. I don't know if you can still see yourself.
I can still see you. I can
Okay.
still see you.
Oh, and you can see yourself?
Yeah, I can see me. Because you went a
Oh,
while ago.
maybe it's just
Yeah, because you went a while ago, but then you came back.
that's okay.
So I don't know if you want to
Let's
pause
trust
and
the
see what.
process.
Okay, no worries.
I'll screen through it and we'll just edit this bit out. So
Okay.
cool. If it is an issue, yeah, we've got
Yeah,
the
yeah.
audio still, so it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so for people that are listening in right now,
Hmm.
what's your key message to people who absolutely love this industry?
I think keep going. Really, it's a tough industry. It can be very lonely
Mm-hmm.
as well. My key message, I would still encourage you to try to find your uniqueness. Really, what it is that makes you
Mm,
different from the other instructor, that's teaching, even in the same facility as you, if you're teaching in a facility or in the same town as you. What makes you? Why should people come to your sessions? What can you do for your
mm,
clients and class members that's going to help them get results? And I think that's the key message, really, is really drill down and have an idea of the type of people that you want to teach, what their pain
mm,
points are, what is it they want to achieve, and more than the superficial, well, lose weight, or why do they want to lose weight, how is it going to make a difference to
mm,
them. Once you really get familiar with the type of people that you teach or want to train, then create a solution for that. So it could be a series of classes, it could be a program, it could be a course. But we are in the business of getting results, and that business
mm,
is becoming more challenging because there are other ways that people can achieve the same result. So that would be and then your
mm.
training and your CPD informs how you're going to get results for your end user. So that would be my message. That's a bit of a long-winded answer, but and value what you do, value what you're offering.
Mm.
Kind of really, it still upsets me in terms of pricing, which is a whole nother conversation. That, for example, people will, this could be another podcast in itself, but the fact that if people are teaching a half-hour session, in fact, I had a message in the week that even though this class is hugely popular in instructor, that her employers want to charge her half the money that she's normally getting because she's only teaching a half-hour class, and that just annoys me a lot because as I always say, if you can provide a solution, especially if you look at it from an exercise point of view, because newsflash, not everyone likes exercise. So if you can provide a solution for someone that doesn't like exercise, that they can get their results, better results than if they were training for an hour in half the time, that person's going to pay you more, not less. So if you look at it from that point of view, but we as instructors, as fitness professionals, need to value the hours that we put in terms of creating concepts, in terms of delivering material in a way that does get results for people. And I do believe by identifying the client's goals, what they want to achieve, and then finding that gap, how you're going to help them to achieve that in as easy a stress-free way as possible, that will enable you to charge more for your services.
Yeah, no, pay is I think that's a whole podcast and a half, isn't it?
Yeah.
To discuss
probably series
pay
of
and pricing.
podcasts.
I know, it's crazy. I know. What are you personally working on right now?
So I'm still helping instructors to create their own programs, which is rewarding, helping a couple of them to write their own books. So I have a template and a format I've written 2 books myself. I've got to mention that in the intro, and helping instructors create and write their own books based on their own programs. And again, the benefit of doing that is that that's the first part of establishing authority, and you can use that framework or system that you talk about in your book to then deliver face-to-face, online, etc. So I'm really excited about doing that, and actually helping fit pros to, because let's face it, a lot of fit pros get into the industry because they like doing the fun stuff, the jumping up and down, being in front of people, and all of the marketing, the funnels, the lead magnets, the email marketing, doesn't really float that many people's boats. So I've got an agency that actually helps professionals to do that, which takes away a lot of the time, a lot of the stress, and I actually enjoy that creative process. So that's really what I'm working on at the moment.
Cool. And then what does the future hold for you?
Oh, that's a bit deep. I don't know. I think for me, it's trying to make use of what I have to offer and try to help. I think the stage that I'm in is just try to help as many fitness professionals as I can, whether it's in a formal basis of being a client or whether it's informal, if people decide to reach out to me on social media asking for advice. I may not have the answers, but I'm pretty sure that I know someone that may have the answers. So it's definitely from an advisory, from a educational point of view, because I'm learning myself. And so if I can sort of translate, or some of the things that I've learned to help other people implement to benefit them, then that's what I see as my role in the fitness industry now, rather than getting up on stage and banging out the latest TikTok dance craze.
Jump around.
Yeah. These joints ain't jumping.
So finally, I kind of get to that stage and I just think, I kind of feel like it's a way of giving back as well. Not to say that, my career is finishing, but it's just shifting to another chapter where it's about giving back to an industry that's been really good to us, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, for me, I've been extremely lucky. I mean, again, I say to my son quite a lot, the fact that, where I was born, where I was brought up, to be able to say that I've been to some of the countries that I've been to. I mean, there's been times when I've literally forgotten my routine because I've been so busy thinking, how am I in Acapulco on the beach teaching a class to 300 people, when things like that really, I'm like, how has that happened? You know, or being in Beijing or wherever. And it's through other fitness professionals being kind to me and giving me an opportunity when they could have offered that opportunity to many other, probably more talented fitness professionals. So yeah, giving back is definitely something that I want to be seen to be doing, and which I do. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do, I don't, share on social media, because again, that's not really the reason why I'm doing it. But yeah, giving back is a huge huge motivator for me.
Cool. So to sum it up, what's one word? Group fitness, if you could sum group fitness up in one word, what would that be for you?
Inspirational. Yeah, inspiration. We have the ability to inspire. Yeah, we have the ability to inspire many
Can't really
people.
Hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Awesome. So thank you, Lincoln, for your time and your, and all that you've got to share. Where can listeners find you?
Say the easiest way is via social media. So Facebook, everything is /Lincoln Bryden, because it's easier for me to remember. So Facebook.com/Lincoln Bryden, Instagram /Lincoln Bryden, and also LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn as well. And please reach out to me. I know,
Cool.
Sometimes people say that and they don't really mean it, but please reach out. If you've got any questions whatsoever, then please reach out. And if I can help you, then I'd love to be able to do so.
Cool. So listeners, the Lincoln's links are also in the podcast description as well, and YouTube. Not like me at all. And so, click on sign up to his email list and follow him on social media, because Lincoln definitely does give lots and lots of value. So thank you for your time, Lincoln.
Absolute pleasure. And thanks for inviting me.
Happy listening, everybody. Thank you.